It's a beautiful bacon day, Cookie Crusaders. Today we're going to be talking about the 3 guild bosses and their upper levels, and what you're going to be seeing, the requirements, and the overall strategy behind running these. So, let's go ahead and move over to the dragon first. Now this team, when you're up at this level, the dragon itself has quite a lot of defense, pretty good amount of health, and a very high level of HP. So, this battle is going to be significantly harder than the lower level dragon battles, as is expected as it scales up. But importantly, you're going to need a team that either has some great damage resistance and power, or you're going to need a lot of bodies with a lot of damage resistance for survivability. So, the 2 potential best teams that I've seen run that work the best are either this team or this team. Now, the difference is you're going to get more damage right now with this team. But if you can get enough damage resistance on all of these cookies, then you can take it pretty high with this team too. So for instance, this one, we've only got 20 on dark chocolate, 25 on crunchy, 22 on pumpkin pie, 0 on oyster, and 3.1 on cotton cookie. If you can get pretty much almost perfect damage resistance on all of them, you can take the damage from this team pretty decent to the guild boss in this battle. But this team, you're going to get more damage, but yet again, the lack of damage resistance means that they're going to die out pretty quickly. So you can see 7.8% here, 16.2 here, 3.1 here, 4.9 here. So this team, if it had more damage resistance, you could get more damage done with it. Now, let's go ahead and take it into battle with this team, since it does do more damage than the other team currently, and show you what's going on. So we wait for that perfect moment. We queue up cotton. We take a Claire and Affogato, run dark chocolate, and then let everything go. And you can see the damage just starts to fly off because a Claire will get the weakness, Affogato will extend that power, Vampire will hit against the dragon, dealing huge critical hits, and the defense down from dark chocolate is making the majority of most of that work. And so that's how this team runs, even at the higher levels. It's pretty much a burst power team, and that's how you have to run it at the high dragon levels, such as dragon level 13. So 28 million. We can get about 30 million on a good crit run. And let me just show you the toppings that we have again real quick. So the toppings for this team, the way we ran it, you're going to be getting about 28 million. Now if you run a Claire with attack and damage resistance, or you run full damage resistance, you could potentially get more. If you run Affogato with a crit searing mix with damage resistance, you could potentially get more. And if you run dark chocolate with cooldown, you could potentially get more. However, you need some insane stats to make it work. So please don't look at this team and think that it's an easy team to build for level 13 dragon. It's going to be a tough team. It's going to be a tough team. You're not going to be pulling off some big damage numbers. 30 million is probably about the cap. Granted, maybe some people can do more with higher labs, higher statue levels. Sure, maybe higher scented cookies. No doubt. But I would say that 30 million is about the rough cap for most players in the top 1,000, 10,000 players. I'd say maybe 20 million to 15 million is the cap for players in the top 50,000. So expect those to be your rough numbers at this level. And that's okay. You're doing great. You're doing a really good job with that team. We haven't seen much teams that can challenge the bar of that much higher than that currently. And that's okay. If we find them, I will 100% let you know. Now, over here, this one's a little tough. Avatar level 9, pretty powerful. The setup, pretty tough to get down. This is a team I'm experimenting with. Not going to show you today because I don't have carrot cookie leveled up. I don't have the toppings for carrot cookie. I don't have the powders for carrot cookie. So, can't show you that today. But I will show you the setup and the damage with this team against the level 9 avatar for this one. So, let's go ahead and slow this down. Oyster cookie to start. Pomegranate right before the banner. cherry, vampire rye in that order. And then as soon as you get the chance, pomegranate, oyster, vampire, cherry, and you got to get it right before that one shot goes off, because if you don't, you're going to lose cherry blossom right away. And taking out these tomes is super hard. We've been experimenting with a lot of different cookies to take out these tomes. It's pretty hard to do. So because if you apply any debuffs to the avatar, you basically instant destroy your team. So it's hard to get a good run of cookies that can handle it. Yam and Madeline had some interesting results, but they couldn't do enough damage to the tombstones to actually push the rest of the team forward, and the timing of the skills messes with it too. So as you can see, about 29 million here. So similar thing. So what the trend is, what I'm noticing with these bosses is that you're getting to a point where you're getting capped out at about 30 million damage. We're trying to find teams that can do potentially more, but that's the cap right now. Now and I should probably show you the toppings for that team. So the toppings for that team: cooldown for pomegranate, cooldown for oyster, searing for cherry blossom with a cooldown focus of at least 4.4%, searing for rye cookie with high attack speed, and searing for vampire cookie. Now, last but not least, the Abyss boss. This one, I'm going to show you the toppings to start first. So what we saw was the best for this was this team. So like a pseudo summoner team. And it's crunchy with some critical power, espresso with critical power, and that's because oyster's boosting that and boosting their damage. If you can, get damage resistance on all of these cookies if you want to extend the power and the viability of this team. And then cotton cookie with the high cooldown and damage resistance if you have that option too. And then of course cherry blossom with the high attack and damage resistance and cooldown, so that you can get not only a bunch of attack boosts for your entire team, but in addition you can also get more damage upon the enemy boss. So let's take that into practice mode and show you what that's going to be like. So we're going to start with oyster, move on to cotton, and then we're going to set up all three with, usually you want espresso to be last. That way you can have the most damage output, because if you do espresso too soon, it's not going to hit the boss, or it's not going to hit it completely, which means you're going to lose out on some power. Now, even though Crunchy Chip is being devoured by the main boss, the wolf is still attacking and still getting the benefits of the other cookies. And as you can see right there, that main attack just absolutely slaughters the team. That's where your damage resistance and critical resistance can do well. Pure Vanilla Shields, if you can time it right, can keep your cookies alive too, but running Pure Vanilla means you lose out on a lot of damage from the team, and so that's kind of a decision you have to make if you can do enough damage with the other 4 cookies to make up for the lack of that damage dealer. So there we only got 23 million. It's kind of a critical RNG moment where you have to time things and you have to get everything running at the right pace. So just be aware that those are going to be things that stand in your way. One other thing that you can do is if the critical scythe doesn't work well enough for you, you can run the pin cushion. But I wanted to show you scythe first because I know having the pin cushion at level 12 is going to be pretty tough for some players. So the scythe is a little bit easier. Now if we run the pin cushion and we time that correctly, then when we send this team in this force setup, we're going to do a lot more damage with cotton, oyster, and crunchy chip. We're not going to do as much damage with espresso and cherry blossom, but that's okay because our creatures are still going to do quite a lot of damage, and so it is still a viable and good setup. And I wanted to show you that too because both are really viable options. You're not going to be missing a terrible amount of damage in either run, so both are acceptable to run, but you have to decide what you have treasure-wise to suit this team and to push it forward. There's still some other teams we're experimenting with, like some speed teams, but we don't really have a full pinned-down team yet to truly make the most out of, and it might be different at higher levels, so we will let you know when we get to that. But as you can see, we almost got the same amount of damage using the pin cushion, and just espresso and cherry blossom went down, oyster, cotton, and crunchy chip went up. So hopefully this guide is helpful for you for the higher level bosses. They are definitely getting tougher as we grow and expand, but when we get to even higher levels, I'm sure it's going to be even more wild. And we'll have to look at even other more burst damage focused teams, as they probably won't live long enough to do 2 or 3 skill rotations. So, tell me your opinion, and tell me in the comments what you think is your favorite team. What's your favorite boss so far? Which one are you liking the most? Which one do you dislike the most? Is there any specific teams or comps that you are running that you think is working better? Please let us know, as we want to inform the entire player base so that we can all truck through these battles at a happy and successful run and pace. Either way, thank you so much for stopping by, and have a wonderful day.